Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to our ranking member. Let me say to the witness, thank you. Usually around here, it's bad news that travels fast about a witness. But I got a call saying we have a good witness, and both sides are saying that. So I expect you to carry that off to your next duty when you leave. But we've heard a lot about the situation here, and we've also heard a lot about FEMA. So my question is, FEMA has asked the Inspector General to make recommendations to them to improve its oversight role. Can you shed any light or share with us, are there any efforts to improve that role currently that's underway, or will FEMA take any actions on its own in the interim?
Congressman, we've established a task force at FEMA that I've had the honor to lead for the last 100 or so days. Mr. Wright will be taking over the overall operation here in a few weeks. One of the three things the task force is doing is working near-term reform. We are not going to wait for others. We are going to move forward. We would like to move with our partners, but we know that there's a sense of urgency here and that we have to maintain that. One of the challenges that we have is that we have 75 federal employees trying to oversee an enterprise of what really amounts to 6 million people when you take into account the 5.3 million policyholders. So some of the things we can do, and I would just raise for Congressman Green from Texas, I do intend to establish before I leave this job a hotline so that your constituents and others that may be affected by floods this season can call into us until we have a more robust network that allows us to detect and monitor these potentially systemic problems. I want to make sure people have a place to go before they have to appeal their claim to their insurance company, before they have to sue. We will have that established before I leave office here in the next week and a half. So that will be the first thing that we do. We are going to work with our Write Your Own companies and others to see how we can better structure our oversight. We've withdrawn their authority to pay for engineering services without our pre-approval. That will help us do a better job at screening the engineering companies. We are going to immediately increase our policyholder education so that people understand what they've bought. That's one of the things I've seen, Congresswoman, is that people are very surprised at time of loss because they don't really know what they bought. We need to work that piece. Adjuster training. You know, the adjusters that we have brought in for the claims review process have received very special training. We're going to expand that to all adjusters over the course of the next year or so, so that all the adjusters can get the sort of training that we have that makes them more sensitive to the needs of survivors. That's just a few of the things that we'll be doing. The reform team has come up with well over 50 ideas that I'm sure Mr. Wright and I will be talking about over dinner on Sunday night. Roy, here we go.
Thank you so much. Mr. Chairman, I yield back. If Mr. Cleaver would need some of my time, I'd be willing to give him those minutes.
We recognize the gentleman from Missouri.
Thank you, Ms. Beatty. My concern is, well, a lot of them, but is the fact that FEMA is apparently going to open up 144,000 claims, and that is very close to, if not the same as the number of claims originally filed, although only 2,800 were appealed. 2,800 of those claims that were filed were appealed. What precedent will you be setting for the storms of the future? And is this a corrective step?
Congressman, this is a corrective step. It recognizes that there were deficiencies in the delivery of the program, so I think two things that have to happen. One, you've got to provide redress for that now, and two, you have to correct the system going forward so that this doesn't happen again and you don't have to provide that type of redress. Just to clarify, we are providing everyone who was impacted by the storm and filed a claim with the opportunity to have their claim reviewed. It's their choice to opt in. Some people have got what they needed. Some people are fatigued by this and are just done with government, and that's fine. Some people got money from SBA or got money from HUD and their needs were met. This is really for people who believe they were underpaid and didn't have a form of redress. If you're litigating, you're not eligible for the process. If you had an appeal and it was closed, unless we can find wrongdoing, you won't be eligible for the process.
Quickly, my time is just about out. You know, we had a problem with Wall Street. They intentionally, as the word was mentioned, committed fraud. Nobody's gone to jail. Nobody's even gone on trial for almost sending this nation into another depression. Do you have any feeling about what would happen if we can prove without a doubt that insurance companies were committing fraud? Will someone be prosecuted? Will there be prosecutions, like if they had robbed 7-Eleven?
I have no doubt that there will be prosecutions if there is evidence of that, but I would tell you, Congressman, that I think what you're going to see is evidence of subordinate entities doing that activity, not insurance companies. We'll see.